Hey, GLP-1 plus size community. Before we jump into the podcast, please take the time to leave us a 5-star review on whatever audio platform you're listening to the podcast on. Share your story and how the podcast has helped you. This will help us get referred up in the audio platform so that we can reach more people that need our help, our support, and guidance from our doctors. Help us get loud and change things.
Are you interested in understanding GLP-1 medications like Ozempic, Wegovy, or Mounjaro? Then join us on the Plus Sides, Cracking the Obesity Code, the groundbreaking podcast helping people change their lives one episode at a time. The Plus Sides podcast is a disruptor. We're breaking down barriers, smashing stereotypes, and sharing inspiring stories that'll leave you feeling informed and empowered. Join us every week to learn from doctors who are specialists around GLP-1 medications like Ozempic, Wegovy, and Mounjaro. They'll provide you with science and facts to validate these incredible stories. But that's not all. We'll also bring you the voices of the GLP-1 Mounjaro TikTok community, real people who face the challenges of obesity-related diseases and disorders and discovered the incredible plus sides of GLP-1 medications. Our episodes are filled with heartwarming stories, laughter, and moments of triumph. You'll connect with our amazing community members who are reclaiming their health and experiencing their fullest lives. Are you ready to embark on a journey of discovery and empowerment? Tune in to the Plus Sides, Cracking the Obesity Code, and together we'll change the narrative around obesity and end the stigma. Subscribe now on YouTube or your favorite podcast platform and join our incredible community. Let's celebrate the plus sides of life together because every story deserves to be heard. Every life deserves to shine, and everyone deserves access to expert knowledge and medication. The Plus Sides Podcast. You're not alone. It's not your fault.
Hey, everyone. Today's episode is going to be a little different. Some of you may know who follow me on social media that my sister passed away not even quite a week ago. And so my family, obviously, and I are going through a lot of mourning over this. And I had this episode scheduled, and it's about an important topic. And I want to explain why this is important. And bear with me. There's no script. I'm just going to speak from my heart. Okay. Bear with me. About, I guess, 4 years ago, 5 years ago, my dad got sick with leukemia, chronic leukemia. And very close after that, my middle sister, Jessy, was diagnosed with a rare autoimmune disease that had caused her body to attack the bile duct in her liver. And she had also contracted cancer in that liver. She was in her early 30s and was going to need to have a liver transplant and also go through chemo and radiation. So we did that. And during this time, I had this sort of like big weight of sort of grief just hovering over me. And I had this moment because I had been taking GLP-1s where, I wanted my life to mean something, and I wanted to help people. And I wanted to control something positive in the world. And I started the podcast and this podcast and wanted people to better understand, their disease and their bodies and feel more empowered and be able to make good choices, for themselves. And my sister, I had started the podcast and I was with her in New York and she was getting radiation and chemo and we all took turns and I was up there for my week and I was like, it probably won't be anything. Like it probably won't be much. And she said, don't you say that. It will be that much. It will be great. And not long after that, we had Rosie O'Donnell come on our podcast, and our podcast grew and won awards and, all the things. And because of her belief in me and her strength and bravery through this time, I think that I've been able to help, uh, tens of thousands of people, you know, be able to better understand their disease and also forgive themselves. And my sister, in terms of just a human, was magical and really special. Made of stardust. And she was an artist. And even on the days when she was the sickest, she would still create, you know? And so I thought, I think I should create today, you know? Because this is gonna be a big thing to go through. And she would want me to be honest and authentic and real and deal with the hard things, and walk through them. So we're gonna have this episode, and I'm gonna do my very best. And I hope that my intent is only to honor her and what she inspired me to become while we have this very important conversation that is going to question the status quo like we always do here and like my sister did every day. Okay. So I'm going to invite in a couple of my friends and we're going to talk. Thanks for hanging with us. Welcome, welcome to the Plus Sides podcast. How are you, Kat?
I need a tissue, but I'm doing great. All things considered.
Yes. And Dr. Rentea has joined us as well today. How are you?
I'm good. I'm very moved by what you said about your sister, and I'm so sorry.
Well, I thank you guys for knowing that this would be a little bumpy and coming on and doing it anyway, because my sister always did it anyway. And I had a good I was been with my mom, and I came home and my uncle called me and said, "Listen, I need you to go outside and sweat." He said, "It'll help," And so that's what I did. I went out and exercised, and it was the first time I've moved, honestly, in a couple of weeks because it's been hard to move at all, And I got a certain amount of clarity that I needed, So that was good. And I think we all talk about that a lot, right? And so what I want to do today with you is discuss sort of these two different movements, right? Which is body positivity, which we know has been going on quite a while, right? And sort of this GLP-1 movement, if you will, that's been going on for not quite as long. And I think that all of us here can attest that, we still live in bigger bodies. We're not skinny minis. At the end of this isn't a skinny shot. Maybe for some people, I don't know. Bless you if it is, okay? Bless you. But it isn't for most people, So I think that we really try to help people understand that here. And in some of the videos that I've seen lately, I've seen some people that are in the body positivity community actually taking GLP-1s, right? And I've understood that sometimes that community can be a little unforgiving, although I would argue ours can also be unforgiving. But I was just thinking how powerful it would be if we could bring those two movements together, right?
Yeah.
And I just think that it would be good to have a discussion about maybe the difference between the two, right? And then how they don't have to be mutually exclusive. And I thought that you would be perfect for this episode as both an obesity physician, as well as someone that struggles with obesity and often talks about this being a way bigger journey than just losing weight. And so, Kat and I wanted you to join and discuss it with us. So we're so glad to have you here.
Yeah, thank you. This is a topic, the no lose movement, all of those. I believe in so many of the principles, but then there's a line where when we're denying health things, that becomes a problem for me. But I think there's so many shades of gray just everywhere in all of it. And I think that's the reason that's always nice to have these conversations, because it's not as binary, I think, as people think.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's true. In terms of like the movements, I feel like when I was sort of noticing this body positivity one, it was good for me in that I felt like in the beginning, because this has been going on a long time, right? I felt like, and looking back, I think we needed it to be able to survive. Do you know what I mean? Like in this society, in this world, right? With all the things that it is to live in a big body in this society and be able to kind of like survive up here, you know, and feel, I think, also included in a community, you know, and
Mhm.
feel like, you know what, if I can't control, right, my weight, then I might as well find a way to love who I am. And I think the core of that is great, right?
Yeah.
And I just think that it might be good if we can talk a little bit about, like you said, the no lose movement and kind of what you know about that. And then we could just go from there. What do you think?
Yeah, I wanna just say to begin with, I am no expert in any of this
My
None
God.
of us are,
because
right?
I'm
We
gonna
just
say
want
this
to
Neither am I.
minute one, a lot of these movements come out of things that I'm not well versed in, and so there's someone that's gonna take issue with absolutely anything I say.
Sure.
Just starting out with that, okay?
This is an
My
opinion podcast.
So, my understanding with a lot of these communities is that, like with the no lose community, they are very strong in believing that even if you lose weight, that your health does not improve. And they pull on literature that says nothing improves with your health. And I'm not ever sure what things they keep drawing from. I think my thought on that is that you can find research to support anything you believe. And
Sure.
so if you want to find some papers where when the weight set point went down, they were not healthier, you 100% can find it. And
Yeah.
so and what I do believe with this movement though is that I don't know why other people are able to police your body.
Mhm.
So I don't know why it's anyone's business your size, what you should be doing. I do not understand that, but that's one of the problems that we live in this world where I think we're imposed on so much that
Mhm.
you need to then have a movement that is that strong and says, "No, do not get involved. The health won't improve." It's a real it's a real thing. And then with the body positivity movement, I don't think it's that there's I don't think it's that they're saying that you would never work on your health, but again, I also think it's a foolish idea to think that you would always love your body because
Yeah.
I really believe in body neutrality and maybe our body is only made to be functional and it's really not an ornament. And so
Mm.
a lot of these movements have parts to them, which I'm probably misunderstanding parts. I'm like going to say that every single sentence,
Yeah.
but I don't understand need to uh, why we even need to be commenting on other people's bodies and doing that.
Yeah, I get it totally. You know, I had the idea for this episode when I saw someone sent it to me, come across my feed or whatever we call it these days, where it was an influencer that was in the body positivity community, plus size influencer, beautiful, and she had done a piece with the Times, and she was specifically talking about how she was kind of on board with this movement, but at some point it went off the rails, right? And it was promoting very unhealthy things. And that she spoke out about it because it bothered her a lot and they kind of ate her alive. Not everybody, guys, we know like the loudest ones are usually the fewest, right? And when it comes to the internet. And so I think that that still is hard. It's like taking a, I hate to say taking a bullet, but I guess I can. It's my podcast, taking a bullet when people do those things to you, like, and I just thought, why can't they exist together? And whether it's I love my body because my body, you know, can walk, right? Or my body can, dance or
I'll
let me
be
know.
right back.
Okay.
Well, we can keep talking because I have some thoughts with yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think let's talk about that because, like, I think that, like, I wouldn't say that I look at my body and I love the way that my body looks, but I love my body for what it can do. And I love my body for the places it's taken me. Do you know what I mean? It's
yeah,
just, it's very different. And I still love my curves and all of those things too,
yeah,
So what do you
yeah.
think?
So when I think about, for example, like the fat liberation movement, so
Mhm.
when someone has been in that for a long amount of time, first of all, I believe in everything that they stand for, where it's not right that how discriminatory we are in the world, where you can't even get on a plane without having to buy an extra ticket. I mean, again,
Mhm.
it's rampant. Like, why is the world not built? Why is it built for a certain size? I mean, again, I believe in all that. But
Mm.
I think when you decide, for example, to do a GLP-1, and it could be for health reasons, right? Things like that, you feel like you're abandoning your entire identity because that's what
Mhm.
you stood for, that it's fine where I'm at, and you came to acceptance with it, and you came to love and all those things, and then you feel like you are betraying that community. And it's really hard when you've believed something for like, let's say 10, 20 years, however long, and then you want to go do something different. It feels like a betrayal.
Yeah. And it is like, that's the thing is, well, I don't know is it completely opposite? Like, because that's the thing, like, from the beginning, like, I think when people take these medicines, right, and I would love to know your perspective as a clinician, obviously, right? But, like, when I started taking these medicines, I was taking them to lose weight. Period.
Mhm,
I wasn't taking them like, I had my mindset was, "Oh, I'm sick, like, my blood sugar's not looking great, anything's looking great, I need to take medicine." You know what I mean?
mhm,
And I just thought it was like anything else, right? Like, that I've done a million times, you know what I mean? And
mhm,
I was like,
mhm, mhm,
"Okay, well, maybe this is a little thing," and started losing weight. So, but that being said, and this is what you guys know a lot of my platform is that, right? About, like, I don't know, 3 months in, 4 months in, I was like, "Oh, shit, this isn't about weight loss at all." Right?
mhm,
This isn't about body size at
mhm,
all. It's about treating underlying dysfunction in biology, and weight loss follows, either in a ton or in a little, either fast or over a long period of time, but that's usually how it works for most people, right?
mhm.
But it took me some time to get there. I was, like, diet culturing the shit out of this, you know? So, I think that, like, it's curious to me, like, that and I do think it's sort of like this, like, keep in mind, when I say ignorant, guys, when I say ignorant, I mean not informed, not stupid. I don't use it as a nasty term. Not informed. And many people are not informed that this medication doesn't just make you eat less. It works on the biology, right? And it makes me think that people that are in these bodies don't understand their disease, which I think we can all agree here is very frustrating. We want that for them,
Yeah.
right? So because I feel like if they did, they wouldn't say these things. Like, it would go the other way. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but Kim, even if they did understand
Yeah.
though, like they can choose to do whatever they want to do. And I think that's what we're
Mhm.
all losing here is that everybody has free choice,
Yeah,
right?
of course.
So you can know all the information and still choose to do something different. Because I think it's problematic. If I'm looking at someone and then I'm judging them and I'm saying, well, you should go on a medication. No, that might not be right for them. And so
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
on all sides. It's like everyone doesn't know what's best for the other person, you know?
What do
Yeah.
you think, Kat? You're awful quiet, and I like to talk.
No, I try to chime in and then I listened. And when I'm listening, the ADHD, and I was like, there's the thought. It just went away. So, uh, I've lived, I had to learn to love myself because, I mean, I'm not going to get on a huge soapbox, but I felt like
Oh, no, no. This is
really,
the episode for the soapbox. Please
okay.
continue. Get on the box.
I felt like, and Kim got me emotional in the beginning of the show. Mm. All right. I felt like I had to love myself only. Um, and I got really good at it though. Like I slayed, only because, man, it was pounded into my head every day from the root from day one. I was always reminded at how unattractive I would be, how heavy I was. It was always just a butt of every joke, and it came from everybody. There was no relief. So then when I hit my 20s, I got this like crew of like plus size baddies, and and I moved to the South, and that changed everything. No slam on the Midwest. I moved to the South, but I had to learn how to really love it being big because that's all it was. And so because I did yo-yo so much, I went up and down. We're all Weight Watchers lifers here, even as much as Kim doesn't like it. We're Weight Watchers freaking lifers. But there was a certain point where I was just like, I was gonna be, I I think moving away from the family unit really did do a lot of mental health good for me. That's what I will say. Um,
That's right, Kat, because you come from a pretty big family, right?
yeah.
Do you know what, Kat? I've never put this together. That's the same thing that happened for me. Now, my family's amazing. You know what I mean? Like, it's okay. Our families love, well, I'll speak for
Sure.
myself. My family loves me, all the things. But I remember when I got that distance, I could then start to think for myself. And it
Mhm.
wasn't like, well, you're smart, you're this or that, but if you just lost the weight, like whatever that comment was. And I
You have
remember,
such a pretty face. If
yeah,
you
and
were just skinny, it would be amazing.
I
I
remember
mean,
when
I get it. Yeah, that was is you have just a pretty face, but then, and like I said, my mom has passed on. I don't want to I just know that my mom was very much she had her own demons
Sure.
and went through there's a lot of things that create someone who the way they are. But
Right.
she would say that, but it's the same hand, it would be a slap in the face when she was mad or cross with me
Mhm.
or just anything. Well, that's the reason why you're so fat. Well, that's
Mhm.
the reason why you can't squeeze your fat ass into this. Like it
Sure.
was, yeah, I think moving away though, just I was not within earshot because even like some of the way that she would approach things would be kind of insidious.
Mhm.
And then I just realized, in my 40s, I realized it was just her rampant insecurity, right?
Mhm.
But she told me several times I wasn't going to make it because I was too fat. I wasn't going to get a husband. She apologized to my husband before we were married. She likes to munch. I'm really sorry about that. One day she'll lose weight. I,
Lord.
I could
Yeah,
not get
I'm
away.
sorry you had to go through that. That's so sad. I'm
So,
sorry.
but I learned my crew of baddies, like, okay, and we're a little chubby. But you know what? There's this really cute store called Lane Bryant, and you
Yeah.
shouldn't be ashamed to shop at. Do you know
Yeah.
what I mean? And then there's Torrid. If you're a plus size thotty girl, you can go to Torrid and get you some thotty wear, or then because we evolved beyond Catherine's. We had a
Yeah.
sense of humor.
Catherine's was that was forever. I'm like, but
Hold
how
on.
excited did we all get, right? When we were like, "Oh, wait, trendy clothes that
You
are
remember
like."
the bra cups that were like this size at Catherine's?
Yeah. Yeah.
They were like satellites.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, that's what we had. But now I'm not ashamed. And
No.
I really do think, and then we went on a tangent. This is about body positivity. I would call it more or less body acceptance.
Yeah.
So, it's just
Yeah.
accepting the way it is. But yes, there was a point, like we all kind of mirror this, where we got to a point where it was getting so bad. I was either going to do surgery because it was just getting, I
Right.
was still, I was still a binger, and at the same time, I liked fitness. So
Yeah.
you'll go
Yeah.
on a tangent right now because my mind got a little warbled,
I
but
mean, that's what this episode's about,
yeah,
right?
but that's the beauty of having plus size clothing. I don't, and I guess that plus size clothing that doesn't look like Catherine's.
Mhm.
I will say, because I remember growing up, like I didn't know any of these stores existed. I remember there was one store at the mall, Deb, and it had one, like this was a massive store. Okay, it's like back in the day when malls were a thing. And there was one little rack with like two pants, two tops. And I remember I'd go in with my mom, we'd go to the back, and it was like, you just got it if it fit. It wasn't like, how do you like yourself in it? It was none of that. So I
Mhm.
love that nowadays I worked with a stylist a while ago, and I said to her, I was like, "Well, have you ever worked with someone plus size?" Because I'm like, she's just
Yeah.
gonna have worked with like thin people. This isn't gonna be a thing. She's like, "Oh yeah." I was shocked at how much stuff she brought me that actually looked amazing. I was like,
Mhm.
wow, what a thought that we can
Yeah.
actually like love it, not even like it, love it, the clothes that we put on.
Mhm.
And that actually really has helped me a lot too, because I never really like invested with, I mean, I like what I have on right now, to be honest. Like I never invested because I didn't think it was an option.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah. Yeah. And like, what about like, I kind of talk to people all the time about like how hard it was for me to give away my quote fat clothes. Like once I lost a certain amount of weight and they were swimming on me, because
Mhm.
that's what we called them. We called them our fat clothes, right? For when we would lose weight and we keep them. These are my fat pants.
Them
These are my church pants,
fluffy.
right? Yeah, fluffy.
Them
But
fluffy.
we called them ourselves to ourselves our fat clothes, right? Like most people do. So I think that, but it's interesting because like I couldn't give mine away. And it wasn't because I thought they were cute. It's because I knew I was going to regain my weight
That's
because
what I was
of,
gonna ask you, because it's like,
right?
You
what
still
was
have your
happening?
clothes, Kim.
No, here's what I did.
Praise Lord.
Finally, after I was like 3 sizes down and had stayed down, right, longer than ever, I put all of them in trash bags and I had to have my husband take them and give them away because I couldn't do
Right.
it. You know? And even now, I think there's a couple like big shirts, big pants that I kept that I'll still put on. And, you know, we're going on, it's this summer, it'll be 4 years, the longest I've ever. And I've still gone through perimenopause and some ups and some downs and stuff like that. But it's still not 100 pounds. You know what I'm saying? It's still not 120 pounds. Like it's not like that's the thing. Like by now, I would have regained and then some. That was my
Right,
like,
right,
pace, right?
right.
Yeah. So I think that I just wish that there was and what you said too in the beginning where you were like, it's about having all the information and still making your own choice. And
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
that's yeah, like I think, but that's what it is, right? Is just know. And I think that there is a certain amount, and man, they're gonna eat me for this, of responsibility that you have when you have a platform where you're talking about health.
Yes.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because
Like I
a
think
lot of
there's
it's Frank lying what they're saying, and I'm like, "Listen, I'm totally fine you having your own opinions, but when you're gonna pretend that that you're saying a fact, but it's really an opinion, the way you're
right.
saying it, that's a problem."
Yeah, it is. Yeah. You got to be careful doing that. And that's something a lot of times I do when I do lives and stuff is I'll say, I'm always going to tell you when it's something I've heard from doctors on the show and I can point you to the resource and when it's my opinion. You know what I mean? So you know the difference because you should know I am not a doctor. I just interview them on the internet. You know what I'm saying? So like I think that's important. I think that just because it is easy to have people trust me because I look like them, right? And because I try to be as authentic as I can and all these different things. But I take that trust that they have in me very seriously. And
Mhm.
so I think that it's there is a responsibility to make sure you're putting out good stuff. My sister would always tell me, 2 things can be true at the same time.
Yeah,
2
I
things
love
can be
that.
true at the same time. She would always tell me that. And it's true, right?
Absolutely.
So
Yeah,
it can be true that you are positive about your body, and it can be true that you're taking medicine to treat your disease. Those
Yeah.
things
yes.
can
And
be
trying to get healthier.
That is my stance where I'm trying to think, you know what? I know exactly when all this happened. So, because I've been married for 10 years and then I knew Russell a few years before that. I want to say I literally know the year because it's like when I
It's great.
entered residency. But here's what happened. Okay, so Matthea has graduated medical school. I'm in residency and that it's called intern year. Think about like you're going through the gauntlet. And I
Yeah.
was going on all these like really shitty dates where I was just like, oh my God, like I couldn't even go on a second date. I was like, I can't stand these people. And I had this moment because I always felt so apologetic about my body, like, oh my God, I'm gonna show up overweight. And I had this moment where I was like, like I might never lose this weight because I truly got to a place where it was just like I couldn't lose weight and keep it off. So I was like, I'm not even gonna try it, right? And I distinctly said to myself, I may never lose this weight. Someone needs to meet me that loves this, that's fine with this, where it's never a thing from day one, right? And literally I met my husband right after that. But it's like from that moment forward, I was like, I just will not apologize about this again.
Agreed.
And
There's
yeah,
that point of where you
you're like, I'm
you
not
feel
going back.
it's like, yeah, we're not going by this self-acceptance. I feel like I've come into a crux where I've been writing on this and I've been posting on this lately where I don't know if I want to get so much further down
Yeah.
while we're talking about being on a GLP-1. Like because it's been a journey from my 20s on up. I've really learned to enjoy myself like this, right? I'm just not built like everybody else. And that's absolutely a-okay, right? Stuff doesn't, I mean, we're not supposed to be like each other, right?
I
But
actually
we're at that
love
crux.
that. I
You
love
what?
that you brought this. I love that you brought this up because I think to myself, oh my gosh, I'm an obesity medicine physician and I'm not right where you should be. And I have these thoughts that I'm like, but how far am I willing to push it? I feel like I'm on enough medication. I feel really great. I'm getting, there's like so many things are great. And I think there comes this moment. I just love that you said it, Kat. It's like where you're like, and I'm good. And that moment, very few people reach, and they're constantly dissatisfied. They go into 80s, 90s. It's the same thing. It never changes. And I think that's where these movements need to come in for them because they never have that moment of being like, and now I'm going to be at peace and stop
Yeah.
fighting my body every single day.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
true. I think that's a good point. And like Kat, you and I have talked about it. Like we've known each other a long time. Um, I remember when I was really getting down, and I got into a size 14 regular, and I cried, and I had a lot of panic after that. And I was like, wait a minute. If I go any lower, I am middle school Kim because there's no skinny Kim in existence. There's no skinny adult Kim in existence. And so every piece of me in terms of my identity has been, I am a big, beautiful woman. You know what I'm saying? So what happens if I'm not big anymore? Like what happens and what does that mean and who am I? Right?
Well, you're
And
always gonna be kind of big. You're tall. Like,
I yes,
girl,
I am very tall. Like
Kim,
honestly,
are
any
you tall? Because I'm short.
I'm tall. Yeah, Kat's tall too. Kat's taller than me, a little bit taller. Yeah. People always say that when they meet, they're like, "Oh my god, you're so
I'm
tall."
5'7.5".
You know
You've
what
got
it is? 'Cause you guys take photos together, so I'm like, oh,
the same
you're
height.
normal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'd argue Kim's a little bit taller.
I think I'm a little shorter, Fibs.
Maybe, I don't know. My
Maybe
spine
you
is
just don't, you know, you
I'll go get adjusted and I'll be taller tomorrow.
sure. Yeah, I do that. Listen, I love a chiropractor, but for the record, I don't think they should be treating your obesity. I just want to say for the record. Okay, that's all. Yeah, I think, but I think that there's certain people that feel that way. And I think especially if you grew up in a large body and then I think there's also probably a piece of this for the people that do end up skinny. And what does that mean? And do you like it? And like there's it's so crazy like the mental journey you go on these medicines. Like it was for me. And I just remember like at one point when I didn't have feelings about food anymore. Like, I don't know how to describe that except for just say just like that. I didn't feel about food. And the problem is with that is that I had always like found a way to use food to celebrate or reward myself or make myself feel better, whatever it was. It was always, I don't want to say like a conduit, right? Like it was always like, this is how I do this. And when I didn't want to anymore, right? It was so crazy because I thought, maybe I'm enough. And all of my life, I have always felt like I was too much or not enough. And so just that realization itself was like, holy shit, this is a whole different ball game, right? Like this is crazy. We've got to talk about this everywhere, you know?
Still adjusting to it
Yeah.
too. Like it's like still adjusting to that non-food noise for it
Yeah.
to be so indifferent to it.
I think
Yeah.
the other issue is, and we don't talk about a lot, is when food noise does kick up for lots of reasons. And Dr. Oti has come on our show and talked to us about
Yeah,
why
I want to
sometimes,
talk about
right?
it.
Yeah, like why when sometimes the food noise comes back, right? Because of stress or because of hormones or because of whatever, right? And I think that that's a piece of it, you know. Not a lot of people talk much about like regaining these medicines, and I think there's a piece of like what happens when you do get in a very small body, and then all of a sudden you're kind of trying to get used to that identity, and then you do regain, and kind of all the pieces that go with that. I can see that. Do you see that in your clinic, Dr. T?
Here's the thing that's a problem with everything we're talking about is like the fact that we identify so much with our size because
Mhm.
and the reason that I see this be a problem, it's that okay, so if you are of the belief that this is a disease, you're
Yeah.
gonna have times when things are going up and down. And so you can't think I'm amazing and I've really done it when the weight gets to whatever low or whatever you think, because that's not a hero move. I hope your health is better. I hope things are going amazing. But if you happen to put some back on because now your disease is not as well managed or perimenopause kicked in or whatever else happened, if you value your worth based on your size, it's always going to be a problem for you.
Yeah.
Amen.
Yeah.
I think
That's
a
so
lot of us in the GLP community, I may not be speaking for you, anybody in particular, you meaning you, the listener. If it doesn't apply to you, then, just turn your ears off. But a lot of us are in that position. Who am I now?
who am I
You
now?
know,
Yeah. Yeah. Because it's
I
hard.
identify so much with,
Yeah.
now
Yeah.
who is this? What is
Yeah.
this shell?
Well, something interesting a patient brought up to me that so this person is really where they want to be and all of those things. And they noticed creeping in thoughts of judging family members and they said to me, they're like, this is not who I am. I'm so saddened by that, right? Because they know that they spent time in a different body their whole life, and they know that it's not right for everyone. They know all these things intellectually, but I think the bottom line is that we are 24/7 inundated in society that a smaller body is better. And so it is so hard to, even when you're in that small body, then to think that it's just for health and not because of aesthetics and other things.
Yeah, for sure.
Globally too, like just
Yeah.
worldwide, the standard, I think
I've
is
done a good bit
very
of flying, I feel like recently. And I remember like, even though I've probably gone up, I don't know, 20 pounds or something. And which again, guys, I'm tall, so that's probably a skinny person's 5 to 10 pounds, like in relation. But 20 pounds is just 20 pounds, and I remember sitting and I was in the middle seat because that was all I could get. And this woman coming towards me and telling me where she was going to sit and the look on her face. And that's me as a 14. Do you know what I'm saying? Which to me is kind of my skinny, right? Like that's what I was in high school. So, but I could tell. Do you know you can just tell? Like I could tell that
Oh,
she
it's
was, but I
horrible.
fit fine. I had a seatbelt and slack and I wasn't in her thing and she was in a small body. But I could tell, right, that she was unhappy about it.
Oh, it
You
could
know?
be she just wanted to lean over and take over the whole seat because that is very rare these days. So
Well, like
I
rarely are their seats big. I mean, like they're almost always full these days. At least my experience. But I'm usually going to like New
sometimes
York.
they're not, and you look out and you're like, heck yeah, I got an empty seat next to me.
That never happens to me.
That's never happened again. Never.
Occasionally,
Maybe
it
like
happened when I went to New York last year, Kim. We went, or 2 years that we went to New York for the Anthem Awards. Yeah, my row was empty
Really? That's crazy.
on
Like
the
a
way.
weird time for the flight that you went?
I don't think so. Yeah.
No?
I don't
We
know.
left
Weird.
at the same time. We were in two different like gates.
Yeah.
But anyway, but yeah, there was an empty seat. It was three people. The middle one was empty, and the other lady was at the
Yeah. I mean, I guess people cancel their flights like the last minute. It happens. But I tell you, it's rare. I think I've maybe had that happen one time. But I mean, I don't know. Like it's just something to think about. Like I think that, I think that was the question is, and this maybe we need another doctor friend to come on, but like, how do we start changing what we define as our worth, right? How do we move away from sort of this size inclusivity and, size of our body and size of things? How do we do that when technically like the world all around us, right, is made for an average size person, right?
Well, I mean, the problem is it's systemic, right? So it means it's everywhere, it's a problem. But
everywhere.
the only way that I think you can start tackling it is to start with yourself and liberating yourself. And I use that word, and sometimes people have a problem with it. But what I mean is, I want you to take yourself out of the cage that your size defines your worth. So one thing that I always ask patients is, okay, so where is that voice coming from? When you think, I need to be lower, I need to be lower, like says who? And it's usually, I think I would look better here. I think this would be right. It's someone else that's
Right.
in your head,
Yes,
right?
that's what I'm figuring out.
Yeah.
Yes.
So there's this good internal family systems. I want to say like a therapy model, right? But basically we have a lot of different parts. All parts are showing up to help, but some become problematic because they're like taskmasters and make you work all the time. There's a firefighter that's like trying to save the day, But the point is, when you really get familiar with the like who's the I, who's not all these different parts, but like the me, okay? It's like it's like the eight C's or something, but it's like you're curious, right? You're loving, you're compassionate. Like that version of you is not wanting the lowest weight. That version of you doesn't care about size. So I think that the first question to move away from it is, where is it coming from? And that usually unravels a lot.
Yeah.
I want to pop in here because I've been reading voraciously journals on this. Her name, I have to cite her, Charlotte Mackey or Markey. Charlotte Markey. I want to say Mackey like the designer. Charlotte Markey. She's a psychology professor at Rutgers University of Camden. And so I found this this article, like weight loss in the era, or body image in the era of Ozempic. I may be misquoting her title because I don't have it in front of me, but she she says in this article, this is the insight is increasing body appreciation may reduce people's interest in pursuing weight loss solely for appearance-based reasons. So that's why we can both live in the same world. I think we can get there.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's I kind of quit thinking of this in terms of pounds a while ago. But every now and then, thing is this shit runs so deep, you know?
Does it ever?
Like,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Like
It's
it
not
is
ever going
so,
anywhere. Yeah, that's the
yeah,
problem, right?
yeah. It's
Yeah.
like, so it's sort of like, and deep from a systemic perspective, and like you said, like again, like society is built for the average, like, you know what I'm saying? If, you know, and I think that um it's hard because it's not just that, it's also the fact that we have been told this trash like the majority of our lives, right?
Yeah.
So like this, I mean, we talk about diet culture and like there, all that stuff that you go to where you start thinking about that scale in terms of pounds, it's all because of them. Did you know one of the most like common searched for phrases on the internet is what do I eat in a day? That's where we've gotten. People don't know what to eat anymore because we've had all this bullshit diet crap for so long. People don't even know. They don't even think like, well, a colorful plate, right? They're thinking in terms, and that is not because they're not intelligent, right? It is because it is deep seated, right? Their whole lives, they've been seeing commercials and people coming at them and family members and all of these things we've talked about. So it's almost impossible for your mind not to go there. I think it's just a matter of when it does, how do you unwind that? You know, how do you go, wait a minute, it's not about this, it's about this, right?
Yeah,
Preach
well, we
it.
have to consider we're in an era that is unprecedented. Like
It is.
we really haven't been at this point where we are so industrialized
Yeah.
that everything is so readily available, which
Mhm.
has contributed to obesity. But
Right.
the medicine has finally discovered in the last 20 some years that it's actually a disease and you don't need to eat a rice cake every day and do this Joni Gregan's workout because that's how old I am. If you remember her, then we can be friends. Or Richard Simmons on TV in the morning.
I liked Richard Simmons. Be careful.
But you could
Yeah,
you
he
could
was
be a little
good.
bit younger. But Richard Simmons used to have a show like the
Yeah.
I don't know, the talk. I can't keep up with these morning shows. Like
Yeah.
was Donahue on in the morning? I don't know. But Richard Simmons had a show,
Yeah.
and he had a talk show, and then he would do a little workout, a little song
Listen, I
afterwards.
was all about the sweating to the oldies with Richard Simmons. That was some good shit. You know what
But
I
anyway,
mean? Like, I liked that.
yeah, we are in
But
a very unprecedented time, and I think
yeah, we are.
you don't
Yeah.
see it now. We are living like in the post damage of the almond moms and how we grew up with those beauty standards from way back.
Yeah.
What's happening now? Like I think let's give it some time and see. But while we're waiting for that time to come, down with diet culture.
Yeah. Right. And I think that's true. Like, I mean, you know, when it comes to like, I think also looking at people and deciding that if they're again back to the size piece, right? If they're in a small body, they must be healthy. You know, I would say that my sister and I have had many discussions about this where we disagree. My sister looked like the epitome of health, right? She was thin and beautiful, and her favorite thing was hot yoga, you know? And one of the reasons that she decided to get the transplant is because she met somebody, got one, and he said, 6 months later, I was doing hot yoga, and that was enough for her. You know what I mean?
Oh
Because that
my
because
God.
she loved it so much and she loved to move her body and she was thin, you know, short and thin and gorgeous and ate healthy and cooking constantly and all of those different things. But my sister died of liver cancer, basically, right? And all of the complications that came from that after a transplant and everything. I think there is a piece of that too, where people make assumptions not only, right, that if you're in a small body, you must be healthy, but also that if you're in a big body, you must be unhealthy. And I think that there are plenty of people to our friend Kat, right, who has had great numbers, you know what I'm saying, and exercised constantly and lived in a big body. You know, my numbers are not good, but that's because at some point things shift,
It
right?
eventually started to catch up. In fact,
Right.
Dr. Rentea, I want to ask you that because this was from Obesity Week, but I want to do it. I want to ask it here too. Metabolic health with or without obesity. Is
you
it
saying, can someone be in a body
metabolically
that,
healthy in a big body?
Mm,
yeah, it's
Yeah.
possible. Yeah.
Yeah.
mm,
Because there's so many things that go into it. So if you look at some of the newer kind of how people want to classify things, it's not ever going to become standard because it's
Right.
so nuanced, right? Like, let's have a real moment here.
Hmm, yeah.
Um, but if you really look at all the different areas, I mean, ethnicity plays into if your weight set point can be higher and you're good. That's like we haven't even like done labs. We haven't
We
done
haven't even
anything,
touched on
right?
that.
So
Mhm.
there's so many factors like that where you distribute your weight. I mean, this is my medical side. I don't okay. When I see someone, I'm so jealous when someone like the abdominal area is less because I know that's less cardiac risk. That's all I'm thinking in my mind. And they might be annoyed that the hip size is whatever, but all I'm thinking is, yeah, but the ratio and the cardiac risk and the,
I agree.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's very nuanced. And so that's the problem is you don't have all that information on someone when they're in front of you and you haven't talked to them or done any investigation.
yeah.
Mhm.
I always wonder, like, as humans, we gotta ask some of our psychology doctors, right? But I always wonder as humans, like, we're always sizing up people to make sense of them. You know what I mean? And literally we're sizing them up. Like they look like this, they must be like this. And I always wonder if that's just because like our brain's just trying to protect itself. And it's like, I don't know if this is dangerous. So it's like always trying to size things up, and figure out who things are or what they should be. You know what I mean? And it's a shame that size comes into this as much as it does. But I have to be honest with you. I live in a big body and I do it too. The difference is that when I do it, I go, why am I doing that? Like, why did I go there? Like, why did my brain do that? Why was that my initial thought? You know what I'm saying about somebody that maybe I meet that's 400 pounds or 500 pounds or something like that? Because I
Mhm.
do. It happens. And then I go, what the fuck, Kim? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you don't feel that way, but my brain does it automatically. And that's what I'm saying. Like, this stuff is very,
Internalized. It's what is it
very,
called?
yeah.
Uh, Dr. Rentea, you're the
An
smart one.
internalized bias is what you're talking about, where
Internalized
you
bias. That's
turn
it.
against yourself. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I hear you. I do think though that that gets better. So the initial thought can always pop up, but I
Yeah.
do think the more we work on it, the more we instantly go to, no, that's not right. I'm not going to go down that path. I'm not doing this anymore. I really do think that can get better. And I think one of the core things that I always tell patients is this is work that we have to recommit to every single day. I'm not talking
Yeah.
about getting exercise and things like that. I'm talking about I'm not going to put myself down. I'm going to believe that what I'm doing is enough. All those kind of things. Same thing with judging other people. I really believe we can change over time because I feel like when I was younger, I was very judgmental. Like I just felt that way inside. And I
Mhm.
feel that as you grow up, you realize, oh, I don't know everything. There's a lot. You get to that place, but I also think that's practice to decide that you don't want to do that anymore.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I think that's very true, and that's, like, yay therapy. Like, I think that's something that, like, I feel like I learned really good in therapy is, like,
Indeed.
let's identify, like, why you feel that way, and then when you feel that way again, maybe we consider something different, right? And then that goes, I think, too, with, like, maturity and stuff like that, but, I agree, like, and I like I said, like I mentioned, like, some of this, like I said, it is sort of an initial thought, you know? But I do think this also goes back to, again, like the number on the scale. One of the girls that was on our show recently called it your unit of measurement. So whether you're on a scale or you're using like a pair of pants, right? Or you're using tape or you're using a cloth or something like that to be your like unit of measurement to I think like help you when you're like on this journey if you get caught on that. And I think that the reason people want to measure is one because their doctor does want to sort of understand that if you're on this journey to better health or weight loss journey,
Yeah.
however you want to look at it, right? They want to understand like their rate of loss, right? And if it's working and if they need to make adjustments, right? Well, Dr. Rentea, we hope that, but we also know that people don't have that access to that, right? But we hope that. And I'm thinking too, like, I wonder also if that's the piece of the size, right? Because we are tracking, like we are a tracking culture. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that, and that is all tracking the size of your food and the portions and everything is based on size and numbers, you know?
Mhm. I call it like what I was telling Kim, I track, but now I put in my mind for research purposes only. Yeah, we're not going to see if we did a good job or not today. We're just doing this for research purposes only.
I came across a term recently, non-committal experimentation, like, just for today, I'm gonna try da da da. And I was like, just that word non-committal, I'm like, that works for me. Like to try something new and not feel like to not feel like I'm going down the diet culture lane. It's like, no, I'm gonna just see if I feel better when I do XYZ. And so just
Yeah,
it's interesting the terminology. Like Kim, I think what you're
seriously.
saying is
I love that. Yeah.
we I think we always want certainty as humans. We want to be like, it's good, it's bad, it's this, it's that. This like when we see a certain person in front of us, we want a phenotype. We want to know, yep, I've seen that before. Here's exactly what it is. And it
Mhm.
and the smarter we are, the worse that is. Because as
Yeah.
physicians, one of the problems is that you have that going, right? Like you have these you see certain patterns and you think certain things, right? And they always say, like, when you hear hooves, you should think horses and not zebra, but there could be a zebra, right? So it's like you don't know what's there. And so we errors occur that way, right? It's the same thing with ourself when we're like constantly trying to think everything into a certain direction.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And it's like, and I don't necessarily know the way through, right? And a lot of times when we have these discussions and we pose these questions, like kind of like we did on the Biggest Loser episode, right? It's like, what do we want to do going forward? Right? We know what a big problem this is. We know how people's brains work. We know how society is.
Mhm.
But ultimately, at the end of the day, what we are doing, right? With I think bringing awareness, if you will, bringing education, if you will, around obesity, like we do here and like you do, right? Um, it is changing the world, and I think the reason it is because the world has been built on these sort of, I don't know, binary things, right?
Mhm.
But what we're
Yeah.
doing is pushing on everything, fashion, food, right? Everything, like how you feel about somebody in terms of worth, stuff like that. So it's like I can't help but wonder, like, I have to say, I would love if it was possible for the people who are, in the body positivity community or the nose community or whatever it may be, right? To learn and then make a choice. That's okay, and if there was a way for us to come together, that movement would be huge, you know? Like, that's
Yeah.
the thing is we're all probably struggling with the same thing. And if we could find a way to come together, we could actually move needles and change lives and get people healthier. And again, you can still be healthy in a big body. Like me, maybe on like I'm in a big body, but I'm more healthy, you know? And or maybe the answer is you're not healthy, but you're more healthy. I don't know. Like, what do you
Mhm.
think?
I think it's different for everyone,
Yeah.
right? That's the problem.
Yeah, that is the problem.
That's the problem.
You're
And
right.
I agree. I really don't understand. Like, I'm fine with them having whatever belief they want to have. Like, truly, I have no problem with it. I hope you're informed. There are some things that, you know, I would like to just from a health standpoint, there are certain things I care about. But again, I have my own bias, right? Because I'm like already going into, is there a disease? So I'm recognizing that.
Mhm.
Um, but truly, whatever, as long as you're picking these things consciously, have at it. But just
Yeah.
make sure that you actually picked it and that it's not a default.
Mm. What about you, Kat? How do you think we move forward?
Hmm. Um, I think so I'm such a consummate middle child in Libra. There is a happy medium to this all. And I feel, um, you know what, I still identify as plus, right? I'm still in a
Mhm.
large body and I think maybe my body acceptance or my body positivity might just kind of just leave me right here.
Yeah.
I don't know if that says anything. I do think we should come together, um, because yeah, the world still is made for smaller people.
Mm,
You mentioned airplane seats. I remember a woman told me she was so sweet on the flight. I couldn't fit. I had to get another.
yeah.
This is when I was at my heaviest. I needed to get an extender, and they didn't have one. But the woman sitting next to me, she was so kind. She's like, these airplane seats are like they're designed from naval soldiers from the 40s, so no one can fit in them, girl. No one can. She
Oh,
was,
sweet.
but it's
Well,
true.
so
Like,
Did it also make you feel though, like very, like how did like that? I understand her intent, like right, but like how did that make you feel to have someone like point that out to you? You know
I
what I
felt a little
mean?
bit better. I mean, I think she
Yeah.
probably saw it in my face. That was a dark day. She made me feel a little bit more a little lighter. I felt like, okay,
That's nice.
she's being sweet. I felt
Yeah.
nice about this because I have had, world
Yeah.
class assholes I've sat next to. So
Yeah.
You know, I have talked on the podcast before about like in the beginning, this being so life changing for us when we took GLP-1s, and not because we were skinny, like it was just because of all the things that we know, right? And it was so hard to see somebody that was in a big body that you could feel was struggling and not be like, here, try this drug. You know what I'm saying? But like, right? It was really hard. I was like, should I get business cards? Like, because you want people to know, right? Because it wasn't the movement that you guys all see today. This is not what this was 4 years
yeah,
ago. There was
Yeah.
like, you know what I'm saying? And now it's everywhere, right? But like I think that it was really hard for me. And I remember in the community we would make like videos and kind of talk about it, like how do we help other people, right? And the answer was we do what we're doing now, right?
Yeah.
We
yeah,
have
But,
discussions and
But, getting back to this, people aren't ready when they hear stuff. I had Jamie Salzner. I hope I'm saying his name
oh
right.
yeah.
Yeah, I
That's right.
had him on my podcast before, and he told his story how he had been on a plane and he'd sat next to an endocrinologist, and that endocrinologist had said, "Hey, have you ever considered, this GLP-1, da da da." So the
yeah,
point is, it had somewhere in the universe it had been said, and that wasn't the moment, right? And so
Mhm.
it's just interesting. And again, yes, it wasn't having its moment, but it's interesting when you think about like when is someone actually ready to receive it.
Yeah. And Jamie, I remember Jamie told us story on our podcast too. And he used to tell me that he would sort of try to, he's real sweet, sweet he is. He would tell people like, I'm sorry, you gotta sit next to me, kind of thing. Like he would say it in the Jamie
yeah.
way. You know what I mean? And not in like a
A sense of humor.
just like,
Oh,
yeah, like very charming, like, and I think he kind of done that, right? Like it's sort of like a icebreaker, you know what I mean? I don't know, just like I think kind of get ahead of it. And um, I thought that was interesting because I feel like I've always done that too. Like going back to your thing about like apologizing, right? For your body, and not doing that anymore. Do you know? I don't know. It's like I think that I've sort of learned that it's not that I don't it's not that I don't think I have control over my body. It's that I do what I do and my body does what it does, but as long as I feel like I'm making the best decisions the majority of the time, then I'm okay with it because I do know I have a disease and it is fairly progressed, right? And I try to accept that in the best way that I can, and not think about those things so much. I still do it though. I do. I want to stop. How do we stop?
I think it just takes time.
It's a journey, friends. It really is. But
It just takes
yeah,
time.
I think I and maybe hoping we can come together is the wrong thing. I think that a lot of times, it's funny because we've had Dr. Toomer on our show several times, she's a friend of the show, and she talked about one time like how even even she knowing the things that she knows, right? What when she got too small in a dressing room, cried because and she's like, I liked my curves, I liked being bigger, you know what I mean? But she got like very small. We've met her in person, she's tiny person, you know, and and I think that happens. So it's like
It's
it's not
happened to a couple of
only people that are doctors. Like it's I think everybody has these kinds of feelings.
Yeah.
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 It's what you like. It's what you are happy with. Now, I know that if we could statistically show, like I know that people who are in obese bodies, like the hiring practices, it's like you don't know what you don't know what you don't know, like the internal bias that you don't realize that you have.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Promotions, salaries, things like that.
Oh,
Um, maybe in
yeah.
customer facing roles, things like
Yeah,
things like that.
absolutely. And it goes back to what you were talking about around like bias, like people thinking that if you are in log body, I do think this is very common. You must be lazy. I think that is an automatic assumption. You don't care about your health. You don't respect yourself. Like all of these different things, like which is all trash that freaking people that were trying to sell us shit to get skinny were selling. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's all garbage. And like I tell people a lot, like when I talk about it not being your fault, right? Like a disease not being your fault. I'm really trying to have people understand it's not that you don't have accountability for what you choose to do in terms of movement or what you choose to do in terms of nutrition, right? It's not that those things don't exist. It's that it seems like to me that the majority of those things are driven, right, by your disease, right? So what you want to eat, how much you want to eat, fighting that, and also what having all that happens does to you wanting to exercise and move your body because it hurts, and like I feel like that's that piece of it, and understanding that is really important. And I so when I see people like you said that are in this movement that are saying these things, it's like at the core it seems really really great. And I also think that it's funny because I know, Dr. T, you've actually said before that you rarely will share what you eat. Like, you know what I'm saying? Because people
By the way,
come
I
at
would love to. Like, I would love to be like, here's this, here's that, like, but I know the comments are outrageous when you do it.
Just gonna break out the devotion muffin.
No, because I'm like, I'm a
Mm.
vegetarian and I'm on a GLP-1, and that's like a little bit of a unique combo. And so I
Yeah.
would love to be able to share all these different things, but you're either eating too much, you're eating too little, you're just insanity. And
Yeah.
I'm not sitting there saying to eat in that way for everyone. So
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's really difficult. Like if people come at you and there's so much judgment around what you eat. It's crazy. Like, or like I'll eat something that's really tasty, that's a special treat for whatever thing,
oh
right? Or
yeah.
something that I enjoy. And then and I post about it. I call it troll hunting. I'm like, come on, let's do this. And I
Yes,
do it
you
on purpose. Right? Like it's when I'm ready to fight. It's when I've got my sister in me, when I'm ready to fight, and like I'll make those videos. I'll be like, I'm eating a double cheeseburger from McDonald's, and
that was funny. I liked that. I was like,
you
hey,
know,
just half a bun. If you want, like, don't waste. Like, if you get too full, take the bun away so you get all the protein because you're not gonna get it.
yeah, but it's like, I will say like too, like there is something to think about like around, I think, food enjoyment and why can't you enjoy your food? Do you know what I'm saying? Why can't you have those things sometimes? And why is there so much like guilt and shame around that? And I think that all goes back to if you eat those things, you must not respect yourself. You know what I mean? All that bullshit that we've got built up in our brains. I wish I want to find a way to move forward. I think that again, like our Dr. Toomer, she would always say like body positivity is great, but it has an expiration date, right? Because at
Ooh.
some point, right?
Oh, that's well, I never heard her say that.
Ooh, yeah. She's like,
But
because at
I
some
agree.
point, right, it
And again,
progresses.
yeah,
There's a point. Yeah.
eventually you usually end up getting some type of disease, and I call it the off the cliff moment where like if I were to do all the testing and do all the things, you're fine, and then you're fine, and you're not, right? And
Yeah.
that's the moment I'm trying to prevent. So
Yes.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And even the test that they do right now, that's what
They
they're
don't
looking for. They're not looking for what's happening while you're going off the cliff, right?
what's coming down the pipe, right?
You're off the cliff now,
You won't
that's
see it.
and that's unless you go to a specialist, right?
Well, because I want to bring up like calcium score, right? You get a heart screening. So everyone assumes that if that thing says 0, oh, you're low risk, you're all fine. Okay, there can be a 10-year lag on it because it needs to calcify to show up. So it doesn't mean that you're disease free right now. It means it has not calcified and shown up at this point. But you definitely can have plaque starting. It's just soft plaque right now. It's not calcified and hard and showing up on the image. And so people don't know that. So they falsely, maybe 54, they get a scan and they're like, I'm good, I'm a 0, I'm fine, right? And it's like, no, my friend, like maybe it started at let's say you're 52 now, maybe it's started at 45. You're just like 1, 2, 3 years away from really starting to see it show up. You don't know.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. So true. Like that. And I think
So what
that
can
is
you
a perfect
do?
example of the
Yeah,
disease
to track.
progression.
So
Right. Yeah.
checking the labs, Kat, to answer your question, like LP little a and B and things like that, because that's irrespective of lifestyle. So when those things are up, that's why I'm so happy we're getting some of these different labs now, because everyone's always like, it's lifestyle, it's lifestyle. It's like, no, we have people in the community that have made videos on this. Oh my gosh, I always forget her name. She's the best. But her weight is definitely where she wants it to be. And the numbers up, it's a genetic thing. So
Yeah.
like getting that message out too, right? Like it's not about body size, but no one believes us, right?
I know it's crazy.
It's
I
because of
know.
what you see, and
Yeah.
and like we're talking about this whole episode. It's we just judge people. It's human nature to kind
Yeah.
of gauge. What's
So
this
maybe
person?
the way of going forward small that we can do, right? Because I really I think it's fine to talk about things and raise awareness and all these different things, but I like to bring things to some sort of like, okay, like, but here's what you can do. You know what I'm saying? And like I'm thinking like as you move through life, right? Or as you're on this journey, maybe it's posing that question, right? Or when somebody asks you, like I had someone ask me before, what, it was my bug man. He was like, he goes, wow, you look really great. How much? Oh, this is like an old guy. He was like, how much weight have you lost? And I was like, a lot. And he's like, keep going, keep at it. How did you do that? And I looked at him square in the face. And instead of saying, oh, I ate less and move more, and it's done, or whatever, I went, anti-obesity medications. You know what I'm saying? And he goes, great. You didn't know what I was
You
talking
didn't want to
about.
hear that.
Right? But maybe that's, I think those moments do exist. And whether that's someone that you're next to on a plane, right? Or maybe when you're just feeling green and froggy like my sister always was, right? Maybe those are the times to have, to say those things, right? Or when your family says something. I think the opportunities exist, but we kind of have to take them and have the conversation. And maybe that conversation is also just within yourself when you do what I think all of us do sometimes, where that bias comes out initially, right? So
Yeah.
maybe that's the way forward, right? It's just that we keep talking about it and keep the conversation going.
Well, I think the not putting it on yourself anymore is a massive first step that could probably take you
Mhm.
years, but also the people directly around you, how what you're teaching them. So like with kids, more is caught than taught. I mean, the point is that there are always people around us, how we treat our friends, all of that. Maybe we don't sit around at brunch anymore talking about our bodies. I think that has massive ripple effects when we do things
Mhm.
like that.
Definitely. Like just the small conversations. I mean, I honestly think a lot of times, like my sister and I talked about before about sometimes the political conversation happens within the family, right? When used to, that's what you stayed away with, right? Within your family, you don't talk about politics, but maybe that's where we do, right? Because this sort of like big stuff, right? You know what I mean? But maybe that's the what we can affect, or maybe it's like you said, like voting at the states and all these different things, So I think like maybe it is those sort of smaller pieces, and I would encourage everybody to try it. If this medicine, is changing your life, right, as much as it is like most of us, right, like millions and millions of us now,
Mhm.
then you don't have to be a weird old evangelist like me and Kat and Dr. Rentea. Do you know what I'm saying? But you can talk to someone close to you about it, right? You can, and believe it or not, like I mean, the reason Kat and I connected is because I started running my mouth on social media, and she goes, "You're on it too,"
But I
I
was
was like,
quiet about it
"Yes."
too.
You know?
Just
So,
like
like, let the conversation ripple out. Let's have the ripple effect. We all know how much I love Spirited and ripple effect. So, that's how I move forward, I think. And then I hope that, more, and, when I was talking about the expiration date, right? That is because this is a disease and it does progress, right?
Mhm.
So as you go to the doctor, those numbers change, and your knees hurt. I always say that too. It wasn't that bad until I started hurting, like till I started aching, and then I couldn't do things anymore and live my life and all these things.
Yeah.
So, it has an expiration date.
No. It wasn't the aching knees for me. It was my feet every day would swell up like enormous sausages at the end of the day, every day.
Yeah,
Well,
for
this is
sure.
not fair.
Yeah.
But now, guess whose feet don't swell anymore?
Huzzah, cat. But they do still stink, and we talk about it regularly.
They're pretty stanky.
She's the next sauce girl, so she likes that Lumi stuff.
Well, that and tea tree oil soap is
There you
magic.
go. See? Huzzah. All right.
Yeah.
Well, I think this has been a great conversation. I thank you, my friends, for having it with me, for giving me grace as I move through my grief. And I hope that we did her proud
Of
by
course we do.
talking about hard things today on a hard day and saying things that needed to be said and creating something. What do you think?
Definitely.
I think so.
Yeah.
Oh, can I add something in honor of
Yeah,
your sister?
absolutely. Yeah.
All right, so I have scheduled an appointment to donate blood this week for myself. So I, on my platform, I did one video, but I need to do some more.
Mm.
Donating blood is very important for cancer patients. It gives us more time with the ones we love. So if you're able to, physically able to, that's why I'm eating all the spinach and all the hamburger meat this week so I can have super high iron because sometimes it's too low. So, but yeah, if you're physically able to do it, do it. Yeah.
Yeah, honestly, I
Think
will
about,
tell you a
in honor
transfusion,
of Jessy Cole.
and or Jessy Cole, a transfusion has saved my sister's life several times, and in the amount of time that she was able to get a transplant, transfusions, and also lost her life a couple times.
All that
Um,
blood.
she was able to write a memoir, and she was able to influence Meta to try to find a way so people who are looking for transplants can connect on the platform. And she started a nonprofit before she passed to be able to have art in hospitals, so that when people are like on the ICU or on the liver transplant or wherever, right, they will be able to see like really beautiful things, because you're there a long time, and art literally affects your brain and your healing, and there's science behind all that. And that gave my sister years to figure that out, you know? So I would also ask you to consider becoming an organ donor,
Yep.
because it did give us 2 more years. Okay. Kat, can you close us out?
Of course. So, Dr. Matthea Rentea, thank you so much for joining us, and we'll have all of your socials, everything attached to this episode. And thank you so much for joining us at the Plus Sides. Don't forget, it's not alone. It's not your fault. And in the great words of Kim's little man, hasta la pasta. We love you all. Go donate blood.
Are you interested in understanding GLP-1 medications like Ozempic, Wegovy, or Mounjaro? Then join us on the Plus Sides, Cracking the Obesity Code, the groundbreaking podcast helping people change their lives one episode at a time. The Plus Sides podcast is a disruptor. We're breaking down barriers, smashing stereotypes, and sharing inspiring stories that'll leave you feeling informed and empowered. Join us every week to learn from doctors who are specialists around GLP-1 medications like Ozempic, Wegovy, and Mounjaro. They'll provide you with science and facts to validate these incredible stories. But that's not all. We'll also bring you the voices of the GLP-1 Mounjaro TikTok community, real people who face the challenges of obesity-related diseases and disorders and discovered the incredible plus sides of GLP-1 medications. Our episodes are filled with heartwarming stories, laughter, and moments of triumph. You'll connect with our amazing community members who are reclaiming their health and experiencing their fullest lives. Are you ready to embark on a journey of discovery and empowerment? Tune in to the Plus Sides, Cracking the Obesity Code, and together we'll change the narrative around obesity and end the stigma. Subscribe now on YouTube or your favorite podcast platform and join our incredible community. Let's celebrate the plus sides of life together, because every story deserves to be heard. Every life deserves to shine, and everyone deserves access to expert knowledge and medication. The Plus Sides Podcast. You're not alone. It's not your fault.